Hello, lovely people of this universe. This is part 3 of Scrooge's Ascension. We left off on mapping out and using intention, using prayer, and going into the darkness in a very aware way. Preparation. Now I want to, from there, go into the way that would feel to be prepared, because I went in last video talking about how you might, distrust. You need to evaluate where your trust and confidence are at, because that's crucial to whether or not you're prepared enough. So if you are feeling you're prepared enough, here's some ways that you can check it. You want to know how it feels like. I feel that the way that it would feel similarly to be prepared to consciously go into your shadow, which is a place of fear, and it's a place of anger. It's a place of negative emotions often. And then if you are fully prepared, it is a place where there are negative emotions, but you do not need be affected by them because your mind is stronger than your emotions. Actually, your emotions are tools, but your mind is ultimately stronger. Your mind is what I would call your source, and therefore it defeats death eventually. It is completely in control of your emotions, albeit maybe not controlling them in a manipulative way, and albeit not fully trying to be in control of them all your life. Control is a really tricky word, but you want to be in the lead. You want to lead it. It might feel like the way you would feel for those of you who go to theme parks and do roller coasters. How if you are already going and doing the roller coaster and not been like totally forced and peer pressured to do it, but are intentionally wanting, because that's the point, intentionally wanting to do this thrilling ride, which is so similar to this, what we're talking about. You would feel confident, but it's not that you're gonna feel completely and totally confident. You're going to have a buzz of nerves. Nerves are all wrapped up inside of our body for a purpose. And I am a triple Mercury, sun, moon, and rising. So I am a bundle of nerves. And I can tell you what, if you want to talk about nerves, you give me a call and we'll talk about nerves, because that's something I've been battling all of my life. But it's also something that I indulge in, because on the opposite spectrum, I am thrilled by that nervous feeling. In a confident way, mounting this hill on the ascent. We are talking about ascension as well, right? On this ascent toward the ride into the darkness on the roller coaster, would feel like you should feel a little giddy and comfortable with the level of anxiety and nervousness that naturally comes. Therefore, there's no need to suppress it. With the combination of being excited and also maybe knowing, or maybe it's your first time, but knowing or unknowing that this is going to propel me into the feeling of a total loss of control, because that's what it is. You lose your control in the roller coaster ride, and yet you are controlled through this safe binding that is the vessel that is carrying you across this awesome ride at Great America, or shout out to my California theme parks. I grew up off that shit. So you want to feel this kind of buzz of mixture of this really fine elixir of, it would be like a fine alcohol that is tasty but bitter, and sweet but bitter. So, but you enjoy it. on the other hand, if you are feeling more of a, and you know, you've really got to tune into the sensitivity of what's really happening, because you could be like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but get into the loss of control and be like, okay, I can do it. I could do this. You have to know yourself a little bit on whether you can settle down once you have lost control, or whether you will go into panic attack mode and just like how I'm saying it, well, and you know, that kind of seizure. And if that's how if you know yourself enough that loss of control in that sense will send you into seizure, you are not maybe prepared and might need a harder training period, a longer or a different approach to being comfortable. Now, again, take my words with the biggest grain from the saltiest ocean, because this is all really just words and my perspective and what I'm saying and what I've learned and things that I know maybe. And so you need to evaluate this all for yourself and go out and look for other information and cross-reference and discredit everything I say and then build it back up and all that. But going into the darkness really isn't that big of a deal. And the reason why I'm going into such depth about it is because I feel that it's very important for human beings to face their shadow. Carl Jung was a coiner almost. Was the pioneer of the with the spreading of the idea of face your shadow, face your demons, stop being this pious, bigotous, self-righteous, positivity only, you know, lockdown of, and I don't like to say religious too much, but that's just what I relate to, of religious just like contradiction where you never go into the dark. And my mother, who I swear I love and more and more every single day, has never touched any kind of substance or anything ever in her life. And you know what? I congratulate her. And she is one person and I am different. But I do feel like in ways it hinders her. She is a wonderful human being and she is upholding so much strength and dignity, but in one way she's not able to relate and to nobody can relate to everybody, but she's not able to relate to a vast majority of people outside of her little religious spectrum of like-minded people, and that even narrows down from there, because she might be much more offended or shocked or turned off by darkness because she's still so unexposed. So basically she's and please don't shout out to the albinos and anybody who I seem like I'm picking on or, you know, using them derogatorily. You come and talk to me and I will apologize to you personally, because I never mean that. I have total love for all people, even real nasty haters out there, and even the worst of people. I still find that Christ consciousness has a way of showing how to love each and every individual. So if you have a problem with me talking this way, let's talk, because I'm willing to do that and apologize. But, you know, my mom in a way is like this, kind of like never touched the sun albino. And so any kind of person who has this, like, you know, who's got too much sun in them, no. But actually she's not like that at all. But that's just expanding on an argument. She hasn't gone into the dark in some ways. She has in the gray matter in ways that I don't dabble in the gray matter as much. And so she could teach me a thing or two, but that's just an example of what not understanding the yin to the yang, the contrasts, the above to the below, the macro to the micro. If you're not willing to step off a little bit into one or the other, and you just walk a straight and narrow, then you better as fuck walk that straight and narrow, not step off into either, you know, if that's what you're preaching. But if you want to stay balanced and recognize you will go off into one or the other, you need to be comfortable with going into one or the other. And I don't think in our very Christian oriented communities, which is changing now a lot, wonderfully, because Christianity is not bad, it's wonderful, and I fully embrace the Christ consciousness, fully, and advocate that, because if you pick it apart and you go do your own research and you go see whatever Jesus is a mushroom or whatever the fuck you want to think about that, you can then come to me and tell me, you know, we can have a conversation about what that means. But the Christ consciousness to me just means an absolute unconditional love of allowance and of letting everybody be whatever and whoever they want to be and at their pace. And if you want to change anybody's mind, all you do is change something about yourself and let them observe you and do nothing to interfere. And that is the hardest thing of all. And that is Christ consciousness to me. And so, come on, bring it. Bring it at me. Come on, bring that fucking, like, you know, Christ hating shit here on Christmas. I don't mind. I can take it. Like, I don't mind if you hate Christ. I don't. Or Christmas or any of that. I really don't. But I do believe that everybody knows what love feels like, and it feels good. Yeah. Like, you know, a brown stallion with skates on. That good. All right. So if you're starting to feel that when you've analyzed it and you find more fear than you find confidence and, you know, self-assuredness, then you might want to pause. Yes, going into the dark, into whatever the category of that means to you, to face whatever demon, it might not be that big of a deal. But going into it confidently, in fact, this could apply to pretty much anything. Confidence, taking a deep breath and evaluating and being like, hey, Sally, I got your back, girl. Yeah. Hey, no, don't go that way. No, come back. Don't think like that. We're good. We could do this. Visualize. Okay, so let's thought experiment as in you're ready to go. And you've allowed the buzz of natural anxiety, which actually, just like anybody who is a pro at public speaking or acting, stage acting, I have a lot of proper respect. I'm not a big fan of theater, but anybody out there want to support helping me learn how to love theater, I'm down. But stage acting is an incredible mixture of having to conjure the natural anxieties and here we go, let's turn it back into the base idea, and alchemically use the anxiety and mix it with an allowance and acceptance of that anxiety and transform it into fuel for a fan-fucking-tastic performance. And that is a key. And that's exactly what we're looking for here. And that is alchemy at its fucking best. That's magic. And that's when you look and you see somebody on stage performing that way and you're just like tingling because their power is coming and washing over not only you, but all the bodies that surround you and beyond, because they have mastered the alchemy. Right? All right. Let's see. So, we're moving along here. It's great. Yeah. Some of that fuel of the anxiety into the powerful experience, if you could alchemically mix it correctly, it takes a lot of confidence and self-doubt. It does not have any room in there. It really doesn't. If you can fake it, you honestly probably can make it too. And some people feel shaky or nauseous or queasy. You might physically start to feel sick. But if you still can hold your hand through that, you're still okay and you're ready to go through. A couple things that I'd say are like little Jerry Springer no-nos. Like, you push this button or that button, you're off the show. Because, you know, we're allowing a lot here. Which is the key to the secret of everything, allowance. But you don't want to allow, you want to observe, but not allow. We talked about the metaphor of, you know, things that you don't like. You're allowed to listen to them. You're allowed to try and understand them. But you do not need them to force and pull you in a direction that you don't want to go. Or that maybe you want to go, but no, you shouldn't go. So by this, I mean, metaphorically, negative self-talk is a huge sabotager. And you need to be very extremely aware of that when you go into we're taking the bar setting. You're going to go into your bar setting and, you know, you've mastered your alcoholic addiction, but you want to go back into the setting where it was, you know, that was your darkness forever. And you want to go back there and become illuminated within experiencing that and resisting your temptations or whatnot. If you start negatively self-talking, like, why the fuck am I here? I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so embarrassed. All these people are going to see me and remember how I used to be and how I acted. Oh my God, the bartender's, you know, that's a negative self-train where it's leading you in the direction that not you. The negative self-talk is the ego, a part of the ego that is this little bratty kid who's like, I'm just so like, I'm filled with emotion. And the higher you is like the parent, like, it's okay. And the observer you is like, I don't know which way to, like, fuck, this kid is out of control. And like, why aren't you reacting? Like, I mean, like, what the heck? You know, you got to kind of observe it and allow these things to happen, but not allow the negative self-talk to bring you down, because then you're susceptible to the psychic attack. You don't want to also, here's a key note too. When you're going into your experience, and I'm gonna come up with a different example because we're not gonna just talk about the bar one. Maybe the darkness for you is you've been fighting with your baby mama since you guys split up when baby was 1 and baby is 13 now, and you don't fight much anymore, but there's just this like sick feeling, and you're ready to face your demon of sucking it up and saying, you know what, baby mama, and maybe you don't have to even say nothing, but just be like, I want to make peace. And you are just, you know, forever and ever, you just were so arrogant, and you have to come off of your horse of ridiculous highness enough to get down on the ground to say, hey, that me back there, I apologize for that. Do you think you could forgive me? Because I don't want to be like that anymore. For some people, that is the darkness, because it conjures up the hugest fears. And it's not that they don't want to do it. It's that they're so ashamed, and they're also embarrassed, but also a mixture of like, I don't want to show my weakness. And so, one thing you don't want to do when you finally prepare for that situation and going into it is premeditate or focus on the possibilities. You don't want to premeditate what you're going to say or focus on all the different possibilities of what could happen, because what you're doing there is not being present. In your awareness is directed at either the past or the future. And therefore, you're like that idiot who's like in a place they've been before, trying to have like Google MapQuest or whatever tell them where they need to go to find fucking Taco Bell, and then they know they've seen this Taco Bell before, but for some reason Google is like getting them lost, and they're like, why is Google getting me so lost? And they're like, the reason is because they're like focused and they're like looking down when they should be paying attention to what's in front of them and using their intuition, if they've been there before, to find fucking Taco Bell. So if you're focused on down, or in this case past or future, over there, you're not going to be focused on here, and you're going to seem very inauthentic, and in fact you're going to come out stuttering. You're going to come out not confident because you're going to be thinking this way and that way, and confidence is here, right here, center, Jedi mind trick. We're blazing through this. That's good. So that type of scenario is going to absolutely sabotage one of my favorite things of all, which is the state of grace. The state of grace is the ultimate allowing and acceptance and surrender in not a submissive, scared way, but a intentional surrender to, as some people will say, God's will, to your higher self's will, to the plan, to the universe, to what you know has a much higher consciousness of you, the higher collective. The state of grace means that gracefully, meaning you're not resisting or dwelling in these side parts. The state of grace means you are focused, present, you are unaffected, you allow, and you surrender to the knowing that there's something up there, that if I align with that knowing, oh my God, this makes me emotional. If I align with that super conscious trust of knowing, then it's going to pull me down the river and I don't have to fucking paddle. That is the state of grace. There's a wonderful story. Yeah, because I'm almost done, so I can tell the story real quick. Swan medicine, in the Swan medicine deck of the Sacred Animals Native American kind of oracle deck. Swan medicine is grace. And the story is Swan, little baby ugly duckling Swan, is looking for the future. And she accidentally flies into dream time. They call it dream time, which is here, where we are right now. Physical realm, by mistake, and she's so tired from flying, looking around for the future, that she lands on this pond to rest. Along comes Dragonfly, and Dragonfly says, "What's going on, Swan?" And Swan says, "Oh, Dragonfly, what's up there?" And Dragonfly looks up with her and he says, "Oh," and there's this gigantic, big, ferocious, swirling black hole, and he says, "Oh, well, that's the void, you know, that's the void." And she says, "Well, is that the gateway to the future?" And he says, "Yes, and I'm the keeper of the gateway." And she said, Swan says, "Dragonfly, I've been looking for the future. How do I get up there? How?" Dragonfly calmly looks at her and he says, "Well," he kind of basically says, "You have to know the magic word." What he says is, "Well, I could let you in. I'm the gatekeeper, but it's kind of a tough thing. See, the thing is, you have to kind of just completely surrender to whatever the fuck was going to happen in the future if you want to get in there. And you have to accept it without any fighting or anything. And once you have that inside your body, soul, all that confidence, I can say the magic words for you and I'll let you up there." And he says, "But don't forget, if you accept this state of grace to surrender up and go up into the future, you cannot resist, you know, the higher plan. Because if you do, it will fuck everything up for you. You may never come back." So Swan thinks about it, and she says, "Okay, Dragonfly, I thought about it. I looked at my little ugly little body, and I have no attachments here. I'm just this funky little ugly thing. Everybody thinks I'm ugly, and that's why I've been flying around, because I'm not acceptable anywhere. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I am ready to accept anything else and everything else. And I accept myself because I'm ready for transformation. And Dragonfly looked at cute little ugly duckling Swan and said, your wish is granted. And she looks up at the big swirling black hole, but all of a sudden she starts getting sucked down, and the whole pond that she's on turns into this huge whirlpool and sucks her down, instead of the void was just this illusion up there. And she gets sucked down. And so several weeks go by, and hunky-dory little keeper of the gate is flying by, and all of a sudden he sees this flash of white, and he looks over, and this most elegant, most beautiful, exquisite creature is gracefully floating on the pond. And he looks a little closer, and he recognizes the eyes, and he flies over and he says, my God, Swan, what happened to you? And Swan takes a look at the keeper of the gate, Mr. Dragonfly, and she says, well, I went up there, or wherever that is. She says, I went to the future and I saw it up at Sacred Mountain. And she says, you were right, Dragonfly. Surrendering, I got all the future inside of me. I got all time and space. And because of me surrendering and not fighting it, I aligned myself with the higher consciousness, and it transformed me into this beautiful creature that I am. Sorry. And he looked at her, and it's true. Swan is one of the most elegant, graceful creatures. I love that story so much, especially because a hard thing happened, and I accidentally rolled across this wonderful winery, and there was these swans, and I couldn't believe how fucking beautiful they were. And I thought of that whole vision of looking up and thinking that's how you're gonna go up into this black scary hole, and you get sucked under and vacuumed out, and you allow it to happen, and you come out transformed. And transformation is fucking beautiful. And I highly recommend it, the path to it, because that is my goal, and that is why I'm here sharing this information. State of grace. If you accept your state of grace, if you accept your surrender within the transformation, you will actually, just as above, so below, this whole alchemical conundrum is that you will actually become in control. Letting go will actually, in the long run, give you, you will be able to grab hold of it. So do that. And I think this completes my Scrooge's ascension, except that, let me just touch down on the Scrooge. Old Ebenezer, bah humbug. So as it occurred, he witnessed his past, and he saw where he got hurt by a woman, and it caused him to be, as a young man, very skeptical, very insecure. And his insecurity, in the same way that surrendering could turn into a powerfulness, his insecurity from being rejected turned into a detachment and a coldness. And then he saw in his present how that was affecting people who loved him, like his nephew, who really cared about him and tolerated and surrendered to his uncle because the nephew believed in him. And then he went into the future and saw how his non-involvement affected, how it didn't affect anybody, actually, that everybody kept having beautiful lives and just completely forgot about him. Not in a mean way. They paid their respects, but they just had nothing to say. And then Scrooge realized what it really felt to be rejected, which started with childhood and ended with him perpetuating it all throughout his life. And true rejection was that not only did they honor him on his deathbed and actually pay respects, but they just didn't have much to say or think after that, because he never had much to think toward or say to them. And so it completely role reversed his intentions in his own self, and alchemically his seeing from the perspective of his mistakes and his seeing the root of the problem beginning in childhood and twisting around and actually reappearing and cloning itself in a certain sense and feel in his laterhood, in his death, in a similar way. He seeing that alchemically changed him to want to be better, and he was allowed to go back, and when he came back, he was just a completely transformed swan in a state of grace. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for allowing me to have my emotions. As always, so much fucking love. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy solstice, and happy fucking New Year. I'm sure I'll see you before then. Thank you.